I am Dr. Sorah and I am here with my friend Carolina. And we're here for another episode. And tonight's topic is shame.
Hello, my name is Caro, and I'm here today with Dr. Sora, as always. I think that this is a pretty prevalent topic, and I think that shame can go both ways for men and women. And I think it's important, as we always mention, to communicate with your partner about how you feel. When you are in that vulnerable state with your partner or with someone that you are simply having sex with, I think it's always important to have confidence in yourself and be sure of what you're doing. Without further ado, Dr. Sora, if you want to lead us more into the conversation with our iguana story.
So yes. A few years ago I was living in Pembroke Pines and I had a townhouse and like in Florida, like next to my townhouse there was this, grassy strip, looked like a little park. Come out of my house in the morning, going to work, and there are two iguanas mating. I call it, they were creating the next generation of iguanas. And my first thought was, could you get a room? Like, please, I really need, I don't want to see iguanas mating at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I thought, iguanas are just doing what they're doing naturally. They don't worry about privacy or ideal bodies or removal or deodorants or fragrance or sexual performance. How well did I do? Um, they don't worry about whether they look or smell acceptable. Humans add all of this stuff on top of our natural tendency to what we're programmed to do, which is to reproduce. And then we add all this stuff on top of it. There are reasons why we have injected so much shame into just being human and having a body, thinking you're dirty and you have to smell a certain way. The comedian Sarah Silverman talks about like how her vagina smells so good and men love it, just naturally. And yet there's all these commercials about, you want to smell good. There's hygiene, normal hygiene, very important. Or are they erasing the bodies?
I think that, as we usually also discuss, a large part of why shame is developed is a lot because of culture. Coming from like a Hispanic culture, I remember growing up like in a more American city, not Miami, um, on our lovely West Coast called Naples. I still remember till this day, like in the fifth grade, I was like, what, like 11 years old maybe. I was asked by some girl, why don't you shave your legs? Like, why do you have hair on your legs? And like, why are your legs so big? Someone with blonde hair wouldn't experience because their hair is lighter and not as like heavy as someone like, with Hispanic genetics. It created kind of an insecurity. It even got to the point where like I got older and I wanted to do laser hair removal on my legs. Not that I'm a super hairy person, gratefully, because honestly, like personally, I don't love having a lot of body hair, not for any particular reason. I'm satisfied with the hair. Like, look, I have hair on my arms, but it's pretty light considering, like you can't really even see it on camera. What's important is for you to feel okay in your own skin. Some people like having hair on their body. Some people don't like it. Some people like their partners having hair. Some people don't. I personally don't like too much hair on my partners if I'm giving you my personal perspective. I mean, that doesn't mean that everyone has to be hairless, that people have preferences. I think,
Exactly. And there's
yeah,
a difference between having preferences and judging, especially self-judging, which
exactly.
is what shame is. Like there's embarrassment, shame, and guilt. Shame is my body's too large, my penis is inadequate, my vulva looks strange, I am too sexual and not sexual enough. That's shame. Guilt is somebody, telling you you did something wrong.
Right.
Guilt is this external voice. You're like, "Oh, why did you shouldn't have done that. Your mother would not approve of that."
The line is very thin, but it's there. I believe that we humans should be very careful with crossing because something like the comment that was made to me 9 years ago still is in my head today. Not that I am not okay with myself because luckily, I have grown and become more confident in myself because I've done a lot of, self-work. I think that we should just be a little more considerate and empathetic when it comes to other people and our preferences. Like, I don't think anyone should make it their business to tell someone else that they don't like something on their body. That is something that is sprung from insecurity from someone in themselves, It's just it's not kind. It's very rude. And a lot of people kind of have this like fly off of their minds and they don't really think about what they say. And that's why we're here, to talk about what should and shouldn't be said. It's all about, being kind to other people and not traumatizing or judging other people.
We internalize messages we started getting when we were kids. Parents' facial expressions, close your legs, nice girls don't do that. Religious teachings, and I want to come back to that point. Pornography and unrealistic expectations. Like you don't look like they do in the video that I just saw, what's wrong with you? Malodors, can be offensive. So, like I say, there's a difference between hygiene and erasing the body. For example,
Yeah.
young women your age, start waxing all the hair off of the vulva. Why? And there was some articles about it. It creates infections. It hurts when it grows back. It could itch when it grows back, or it could burn. This, we are programmed to reproduce hair on our genitals is a natural part of maturation. Why shave it off? Why do young women want to look like little girls again instead of women? Yeah, the Great Wall of Vulva. It was an art exhibition. He took plaster castings of women's vulvas and
Mhm.
he's got them up in a display on this wall. They're all different. I mean, that's a big point, to worry about how
Yeah.
your vulva looks. Every vulva is different, and the vulva is the correct name for the outer covering of the vagina. Then there's the artist Georgia O'Keeffe, who sculpted vulvas, and they look like orchids. So
That's
there
beautiful.
was this sensuousness that she put into these sculptures.
There is a place called the Museum of Sex, which is located, I believe it's located in New York and also Miami, which is where I went to see it. I saw this book full of vulvas, and you could tell, some of the vulvas had hair, some didn't. And I think a lot of it has to do actually with styles, that have like ranged from the years, mostly like the 60s and the 70s is like when the bushes, quote unquote, were used. But I think that especially the rise of the 2000s was when a lot of people just started waxing everything. Like you could even tell girls had their eyebrows like
Yeah.
pencil
It's
streaks. I know that one positive thing of having, genital hair or hair in general, even like, you're in your armpits and anywhere, is that usually it blocks bacteria or any sort of like, odor growth. Which is why a lot of us have to wear deodorant. It's really based on like preference. I think like for some people it may feel kind of uncomfortable or they may just not like how it looks.
kids, if you ever look little babies, kids up to about 3 or 4, um, they love running around naked. They can touch themselves. It's not sexual, it's sensitivity. And it's the idea of cultural shame, the messages we get from the culture. Oh, you're dirty, your body is dirty. Where that comes from is this idea called error management theory. Sex reminds us that we're animals. In order to procreate, like every other species, we have to have sex. But sex then reminds us that we are corporeal beings. What does that mean? That means we have bodies, and a body is subject to die. The Enlightenment in the 1800s, we have elevated ourselves above the animals. We admit that we're really just like the animals. then we also have to admit that we're going to die. And you think about like what modern civilization has wrought. The 1800s, the pioneers who lived, like a whole family in one room. And they had all of these kids. How did we learn about sex? Or people on the farms, watching, this is what animals do. This is natural to humans. So our we invoke or we inject shame to keep us aware, to keep us away from the thought that we are actually humans. That lead to spectator rating, watching yourself have sex. So then when let's say you're in bed with someone, you're having sex, instead of focusing on the pleasure of the experience. You're worried about, how do I look? Does my stomach look bad? Do I smell acceptable? Am I taking too long? Is my partner bored? Am I making the right sounds? We injected civilization.
Like schemas and scripts.
Yeah, yeah. Shame can travel across the lifespan, adolescence, puberty, menstruation, erections, acne, body hair, young adulthood, competence, attractiveness. When you're a parent, your body changes. Then in middle age, menopause, erectile changes. If you reach an age where for men, you can't get it up anymore. Or for women, you're not lubricating anymore. What the commercials tell us is there's something wrong with you. How do we heal shame? Learn accurate anatomy, view diverse, realistic bodies, challenge shame-based language, choose partners who are emotionally safe, communicate preferences without apology, reduce goal-oriented sex. Goal-oriented sex is, you got to climax. Practice receiving touch without monitoring appearance. The important thing is, your self-worth. Your self-worth is not determined by age, weight, fertility, genital appearance. We are worthy. And the acknowledgement that the human body is awkward, funny, messy, vulnerable, unpredictable. If you're going to groom, adorn, shave, or use fragrance, do it because you want to. Yeah, we want to smell good. Yeah, we want to look good. But don't listen to the cultural messages about, you're inherently dirty. We're not. Years ago, I had a gynecologist, and he said to me, you don't need to douche. The body will cleanse itself.
That's true. That's why we have discharge.
Yes, it's the body's natural cleansing mechanism. You do not have to earn the right to inhabit your own body.
Porn also just builds like a lot of expectations for people, like with the enlarged penises and the women with big breasts and like big butts, like tiny little waists. Like it just creates false expectations for us. So I hope that no one feels the need to fill in those expectations because a lot of it is just false advertisement. Yeah.
Exactly. Our culture just makes us feel you're not okay as you are. And you need all of these products to make yourself, look better and feel better. And if they work and you look better and feel better, great, wonderful. But do it because you feel good.
If you found this content relatable, please leave us a like and a comment and share this with anyone that you think would benefit from listening. And subscribe to our channel if you find this information interesting.
I'm Dr. Sorah, and you could find my book, Intimacy, The Sacred Space Between Us, on Amazon. And actually, I have sold some copies, so I'm very proud of that.
That's good. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.